The spotlight sliced through the dim arena like a sword, illuminating a single figure at the far end of the floor. The noise fell away. Thousands of eyes watched in breathless silence as a teenage girl, barely 15, rolled herself forward in a wheelchair. The rubber wheels hummed softly against the polished floor, the only sound in an otherwise frozen moment. Voiceover. Everyone was holding their breath. No one knew what to expect. But when she wheeled into the arena, something unforgettable happened. She wasn't dressed like a patient or someone broken. She wore a fitted black jacket with a deep red sash across her shoulders. Her posture was upright, her expression focused. She stopped at the center, took one slow breath, and waited. The arena wasn't meant for sympathy. It was built for competition, precision, spectacle. But tonight was different. This was an exhibition, a story in motion. And every person in that crowd sensed they were about to witness something that would stay with them for the rest of their lives. Outside the arena, the world had other stories about her. A girl whose life had shattered. A former gymnast with Olympic dreams derailed by a single instant. A freak accident. A spinal injury. A future rewritten. But here, now, there was no past. Only presence. The light, the silence, and the girl in the center. Who was she? Why had she come back? What did she intend to show them? The camera zoomed in. Her eyes shimmered, but not with fear. With something else. Something quiet, but unbreakable. Then came the sound. Not music. Pause. Soft, steady, deliberate. From the other end of the arena, a dog appeared. A German shepherd. Ears perked, eyes locked on hers. Wearing a vest that read "Therapy Companion." He approached slowly, then confidently. He stopped right beside her wheelchair and sat, poised, waiting for her cue. She nodded. Barely. The spotlight widened, and together they began to move. This was no longer just a story of tragedy. It was a performance, a statement, a beginning. Her name was Lila Evans before the wheelchair, before the silence, before the moment that changed everything. She was unstoppable. Lila was the kind of teen who didn't just walk into a room, she somersaulted. She was a gymnast, a dancer, and a runner. She had trophies lined across her bedroom shelf, videos of her flipping effortlessly across gym floors, and a routine in the works for the junior national championships. People used words like potential, grace, and gold. Coaches said she had a spark. Her mom called her a firework. Then came the day that rewrote the script. It wasn't a dramatic fall from a beam, not an accident in midair. It was a car, a Sunday morning. She was riding her bike to the gym, like always. A distracted driver, a turn that came too fast, the sound of brakes too late to matter. She woke up 2 days later in the hospital. The ceiling was white, too quiet. Her legs wouldn't move. Her mother sat beside her bed, eyes swollen from crying, holding Lila's hand with both of hers like she could somehow hold her daughter together. "Your spine," the doctor had said, voice gentle but final. "You've suffered a spinal cord injury. You won't walk again." The words dropped like stones. Lila didn't speak for days. She barely blinked. Nurses came and went. Her father brought flowers. Her younger brother made a card with crayons. But Lila remained somewhere else, somewhere deep, where silence covered everything like a blanket. Gymnastics videos were deleted from her phone. Her medals went into a box. Her reflection in the mirror became unrecognizable. At school, kids whispered, not out of cruelty, but out of not knowing what to say. Lila hated the look in their eyes, that mix of sympathy and curiosity. What she missed most wasn't movement, it was momentum, the feeling of always heading somewhere. Now she was still, always still. Her mother tried everything, therapy, counseling, support groups. Some helped, most didn't. There were days Lila didn't want to get out of bed. There were nights she stared at the ceiling, wondering if anything could ever feel light again. She smiled less, laughed rarely. She became a quiet presence in her own life. But her family didn't give up. Her dad started wheeling her outside every morning, no matter the weather. Her mom read her poetry again, like when she was little. Her brother snuck into her room just to make her smile, even if only for a second. And then, one Tuesday afternoon, someone new walked through the front door. Not a person, a dog, and everything began to shift. He was called Chance, a 3-year-old German shepherd with a quiet gaze and a history of healing. He had worked with 2 veterans before Lila, both living with PTSD. This was his first time paired with someone so young. When Chance first entered the room, Lila didn't react. He walked in with the trainer, sat beside her wheelchair, and simply waited. No barking, no jumping, no begging for attention. Just presence. The trainer, a woman named Jenna, knelt beside Lila. "You don't have to talk. You don't even have to touch him today. Just sit. Let him be here." Lila didn't look up, but she noticed the way Chance stayed. His tail made slow, steady sweeps across the floor. His breathing was calm, grounding. The next day he returned, and the next, and the next. By the end of the first week, Lila looked at him. The second week, she said his name. The third, she let him rest his head on her lap. Chance didn't heal her spine, but he began to heal her silence. Their bond grew quietly, like roots beneath the soil. Every morning he was waiting at the door when she came to the living room. He walked beside her wheelchair as she moved through the garden. He nudged her hand gently when she drifted into sadness. Jenna taught them to work as a unit. Chance learned to fetch her phone, pick up dropped items, even open the fridge. But the real training wasn't physical. It was emotional. Lila learned to trust again. She laughed when Chance rolled onto his back and wiggled like a goof. She whispered to him at night when the world felt too heavy. She told him secrets she couldn't tell her parents. Things like, "I'm scared I'll never be enough again." Chance didn't reply. He didn't have to. He listened. He stayed. By month 2, they were inseparable. Jenna smiled one afternoon and said, "You two move like one creature now." And it was true. The way Chance watched her eyes for cues, the way she reached out instinctively to pat his side when nervous, the way his energy rose when hers did, they became each other's rhythm. One morning, Jenna brought a flyer. It was for a regional therapy dog exhibition, not a competition, just a demonstration of trust, connection, and ability. Teams of humans and dogs would perform simple, coordinated routines. Lila read it, then read it again. "I can't," she said. "I'm not ready." Jenna didn't push, but Chance sat up straight, her ears perked, like he disagreed. That night, Lila dreamt of music and pause. Lila didn't sleep much the night after reading the flyer. The idea kept circling her thoughts like a bird refusing to land. She'd been invisible for so long. The thought of stepping into a room where every eye would be on her again, where they might pity her, judge her, expect less of her, was terrifying. But so was the alternative, staying hidden. The next morning, she wheeled herself into the kitchen and placed the flyer on the table. "I want to try," she said. Her mom blinked, then smiled slowly. "We'll help however we can." Training began the same day. At first, it was awkward. Lila had never choreographed a routine while sitting. Movement felt limited, stiff. But Jenna, always calm, always encouraging, brought in a coach who specialized in adaptive performances. They started simple, one move at a time, turning in place, timing gestures to music, adding basic commands for Chance to follow: sit, stand, bow, spin. It was messy at first. Lila got frustrated when her chair didn't glide right. Chance got distracted by crows. Some sessions ended in tears, but none ended in quitting. Bit by bit, the routine formed. They chose a song, instrumental, gentle at first, then swelling into something bold. Lila began to feel it, not just hear it. She imagined movements not as limitations, but as extensions of who she was now. Chance responded in kind. He began anticipating her signals before she gave them. When she faltered, he circled back. When she celebrated, he barked softly like a cheer. Word began to spread. "She's entering the demo?" Someone whispered at the community center, i.e., didn't think she'd ever come back into the spotlight. She's brave or crazy. Some doubted her, quietly of course, in parking lots, in hallways. They questioned whether it was too soon, whether she was strong enough, whether it would be safe. Lila heard them, every word. She just didn't let them stop her. Jenna reminded her, "Courage doesn't mean you're not afraid. It means you show up anyway." So Lila showed up day after day. There were days she hated the chair more than anything. Days her arms ached. Days Chance got it all wrong. But there were also days she felt free again. Days she and Chance glided. So smoothly across the floor it felt like flying. Her family watched from the edges, cheering, clapping, filming with phones and wet eyes. 1 week before the event, Lila added something to the routine. A final pose. She would roll forward. Chance would bow. And then he'd place his head gently in her lap, simple, quiet, perfect. The day before the exhibition, she sat with her brother on the porch. "Do you think people will clap?" she asked. He looked at her, serious. "I think they'll cry." And she smiled, for the first time that whole week. The arena looked different now. Lila had seen it once before, from the stands years ago. Back then it was all noise and motion and anticipation. Now it was still, waiting. Her name was called. The announcer kept it short. Team number 12, Lila Evans and Chance. Polite applause. She rolled forward. The entrance ramp felt longer than she remembered. Every eye in the audience was on her. The spotlight followed. Her wheels clicked softly against the floor. Then came the silence. She reached the center. Breathed. Chance. Walked beside her, tail still, ears alert. No leash, no harness, just trust. Lila lifted her arm. The music began. Slow at first. A piano, delicate and clear. Lila moved with it. Smooth turns, graceful sweeps. Her arms extended like wings. Her wheelchair spun like a ballerina. Chance responded to every motion. A spin, a leap, a bow. They moved together, synchronized as if they shared one heartbeat. Gasps from the audience followed every pass. There were no mistakes, just moments, woven one into the next. Lila lifted her hand and Chance reared onto 2 legs. She leaned forward, and he mirrored her. A dance of balance and faith. Halfway through, the music swelled. The rhythm quickened. Lila's heart pounded with it. She closed her eyes for 1 beat, just one, and when she opened them, Chance was already in motion. He circled her, paused, then approached. He placed a paw on her footrest. She nodded, and he jumped. It wasn't high, but it was symbolic. A leap not just across space, but across fear, doubt, and memory. The final note approached. Lila spun one last time, arms open. Chance stepped forward. He bowed. Then, just as planned, he placed his head gently in her lap. The key. Music faded. Silence. Then, applause. Loud, sustained. People rose to their feet. Some clapped, some cried, some simply stood there, stunned. Lila didn't look at them right away. She looked at Chance. He looked up at her and wagged his tail. Then, she smiled. Later, backstage, reporters waited. But Lila wasn't talking yet. She sat on the floor beside Chance, who was happily licking peanut butter off a spoon. Her mother knelt beside her. "You were amazing," Lila shrugged. "We were." That night, the video went viral. A minute-long clip, her spinning with Chance. At her side, shared thousands of times. The caption read, "Not everything broken stays broken." And beneath it, thousands of comments poured in, people from all over the world, sharing their own stories, their own pain, their own dogs, their own moments of quiet courage. But one comment stood out the most. It simply said, "Thank you for reminding me to try again." Life after the spotlight didn't return to normal. It evolved. In the weeks following her performance, Lila's days filled with letters, emails, interviews, and invitations. But she accepted few. She wasn't looking for fame. She was rediscovering life. Chance remained her constant. Mornings began with walks or rolls through the neighborhood park. Children waved, neighbors smiled, strangers stopped to thank her. One woman hugged her and said, "You gave my daughter hope." Lila had never intended to be anyone's inspiration. She only wanted to feel whole again. She began visiting local schools, talking quietly to students about recovery, resilience, and redefining dreams. She didn't lecture, she shared. Just enough. Chance always came along. He sat by her side in every classroom, every auditorium. The students loved him. He was more than a dog. He was a presence. When Lila grew tired, he rested his head on her knee. When she spoke of her darkest days, he looked up at her as if to remind her, "You got through it. We did." Eventually, she and Jenna created a program, pairing therapy dogs with teens recovering from trauma, physical, emotional, both. The waiting list grew quickly, so did the stories of change. She met a girl who had survived a house fire, a boy who hadn't spoken in 6 months, a teenager battling depression after losing her brother. And each time, the dogs helped open the door that words alone could not. Lila didn't need a stage anymore. She had purpose, but sometimes, late at night, she rewatched that video, the arena, the silence, the movement, the final bow. And she smiled, not for the applause, not for the recognition, but because she remembered how it felt to rise from stillness, to move again, to dance, not in spite of her pain, but because of it, because it shaped her, defined her, freed her. One afternoon, her brother asked, "Do you think you'll perform again?" Lila looked at Chance, now napping in a patch of sunlight. "I think," she said, "that story isn't over yet." And somewhere, in the silence that followed, something new began to stir.